Hello everyone, welcome to another edition of Tech Talks with nasscom Insights. I'm Ashish Gupta, Senior Analyst, nasscom Insights. I will be your host for today. In today's episode, we will talk about Indian SaaS, transformative, adaptive, innovative, and future-focused. SaaS has evolved itself to be an important part of the software product ecosystem. And this importance is so great that SaaS now accounts for a majority share of the total $13.3 billion software product market. Not only catering to domestic market, but Indian SaaS has maintained its leadership in creating world-class boundaries, world-class businesses from India. And with time, the global reach has also grown quickly. If we talk about some numbers, there's a 2x growth in the share of global markets for Indian SaaS companies from 2019 to 2022. 20% of the funding raised in calendar year 2022 by tech startups went to SaaS. And if you talk about number of SaaS unicorns and potential unicorns, that number is now 59. So the ecosystem is huge and is continuously going to scale. And to discuss this scaling ecosystem and understanding some key insights, we have with us the panel of experts from the SaaS ecosystem. And on the behalf of nasscom Insights, I would like to welcome Mr. Prafulla, who's a director at GS Labs, Mr. Naveen, who's a co-founder and CEO of Divami Design Labs, and Mr. Vivek, who's a Vice President, Marketing and Evangelism at Quixy. Welcome you all for this webinar.
Thank you, Ashish.
Thank you.
So starting up with this conversation, the SaaS ecosystem scalability is a model that other industries wish to emulate. Most products by the Indian businesses are readily extendable and either through native integration or open APIs. India has a lot to offer to the globe, as indicated by increasing unicorns, significant growth in worldwide sales, increasing investments, and ongoing market penetration. So Indian SaaS ecosystem, we can say that enter the underserved and rapidly expanding global markets, primarily due to the cost advantage and improving UX UI. And this is what we are here today to discuss the Indian SaaS scaling ecosystem. So first, we'd like to understand from Naveen, if he can share his experience in creating and scaling a decade-old UI UX design firm, as well as why exclusivity is a critical for a SaaS company. So, Naveen.
Thank you, Ashish. First of all, it's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for the opportunity. So, just to talk a little bit about how we got started. We've come a long way from 15 years ago when I started Divami. We pivoted from building a social networking platform into a services firm. Building UX UI and providing services for other companies. Right from the beginning, we were primarily focused on product companies because I was a product guy myself. So we had been working with, initially, it was primarily a US-based business really, because the ecosystem in India wasn't as strong as it is now. So we predominantly were working with product companies and tech companies in the US. But I would say, since about 7-8 years ago, as the ecosystem in India started really growing well, we've been working significantly with Indian ecosystem as well. I would say these days about more than half of our business comes from Indian companies. Again, we are still very focused on B2B SaaS platforms, and tech product companies. And significantly, this area is also growing very, very big. As you kind of alluded to it. I mean, there is a lot of growth in this ecosystem, not only to serve India, but a lot of these companies are also trying to go to the US, right? So, in general, that's been our journey. In that, we've really started as a US business, but really transitioned to working with a lot of Indian ecosystem players as well. Right now, the company is we're about 150 people. We're a 15-year-old company, still going strong, predominantly focused on SaaS platforms. To kind of address what you brought up as your second point, right? Why does the solution need to be unique, right? Or in your words, why is exclusivity critical for a SaaS solution, right? I would kind of rephrase it a little bit. I would say that it doesn't have to be unique in the sense that it is doing completely something different that no one else is doing. The more the way that I would look at it more is, it has to offer something that others are not offering, or it has to solve a particular problem really well, or for a segment of customers, it has to solve a problem for a segment of customers that the other players are not offering, they're not solving. It's essentially, or otherwise, why would anybody be interested in this new the platform that you're trying to create, right? If you're trying to create a new SaaS platform, you have to most likely differentiate from existing established players, right? That probably are offering generic solutions. For example, if you take CRM as an example, if you're in the CRM space, you have several established generic platforms: Salesforce, HubSpot, Zoho, many more. Right? You can't hope to build a generic CRM platform that does everything the other platforms do, because you simply will not be able to get to go to market in time in the budget that you can sustain. It will just take a too long time and too much budget to get there. So if you're only going to be successful if you do one thing really well, and that one thing is a problem for a number of businesses, and so those businesses become your target market, right? And probably those businesses are not being addressed by the other players for the specific problem that you're trying to target, right? So in the end, also, if you don't have any differentiation, the only thing you can compete on is price, and that's not a very good space to be, and never a good idea for small players without deep pockets. You just cannot sustain that. So to kind of answer your question, you have to bring something new to the table to be considered over and above all the other players that are there, and that's the only way to get noticed. And so that is very critical, and we have seen that mindset change significantly over the years, right? You alluded to it. I mean, while we are able to build cheaper and provide a price advantage here these days, our SaaS players, I mean, when we look at players in India, they're not competing on price. They're actually competing on providing differentiation, doing something that other players are not able to do, right? So that is how the mindset has changed. So we're it's great to see that. Over to you,
Absolutely,
Ashish.
Naveen. Absolutely, Naveen. I think exclusivity is very important. You rightly pointed out that a company, a startup should only focus on one USP rather than diversifying into multiple areas. So you're good at one thing, then you can sell to your customer and scale. But if you're jack of all trade, it doesn't work even in the SaaS ecosystem also. Totally agree, Naveen. So moving on to Praful, cloud is no more a want but a necessity now, and GS Labs being a cloud expert. So we'd like to understand from you, why is it vital for an organization to become cloud enabled, and how does it help to make your core product more adaptable?
Sure. So thanks, Ashish. Thanks for this opportunity. At GS Lab, we are also merged with Gavs, and we have a strength of around 4,000 people now. And we provide services in end-to-end, like managed services to your product R&D engineering also. So we have a lot of customers moving to cloud, and we also have around 150 product to which we are serving, and we are looking for them moving to the SaaS platform. But to answer your question, why is it vital for the organization to become cloud enabled? First thing cloud gives you, it gives you scalability. You don't have to change your hardware for different kinds of scaling needs. That also gives you cost efficiency, because cloud is like you pay as you go. And if you efficiently use it, it's really cheap. Then your productivity increases. It provides you high availability in any region. Then if you're doing SaaS with cloud, then you have quicker deployments. Adoption of new features is quick, faster time to market. And it also helps to get out from the chain of having different versions of the product, wherein you kind of keep on maintaining different things for each customer. So if you have a SaaS-based product, all the features are open and very well exposed to all your customers. So that becomes faster. And thus, I think it's the cloud adoption is increasing, and it's a must that you should have your product on cloud. We have seen big enterprises like Avaya and all, where people have to go to cloud.
Cost efficiency, productivity, quick deployment, time to market. And these are the major things that an organization has been focused on. I think cloud enablement is so important now. And that's why I think one of the key reasons why SaaS ecosystem has grown, because the cloud enablement is become a core of an organization that you can't survive in this fast dynamic world, that without cloud, your survival doesn't exist. So
Yeah.
that's why scaling is very important, and without cloud we can't scale.
Also with current facilities like CDN, you have your deployments at one place, and every other geography or all your products can be very easily scaled on that area also. So it becomes easy. Point of access, your access is very faster. Then with databases like Cosmos DB, it becomes very quick for the data to reflect from one geography to another. So these also are big factors, and your IT costs are reduced like anything. You don't worry about what is your IT.
So I think we have a fast moving SaaS startup also with us. So Vivek, Quixy being a new SaaS startup that is scaling fast. So we'd like to know what kind of exclusivity you offer to your clients in their business growth, and how you help your clients to grow.
Absolutely. And Ashish, thank you for this opportunity. So before I go into exclusivity that Naveen has so nicely explained, I'll just tell us our backstory, right? Because that is very important for low code, no code. We also come from a IT services background, the founders, and we realized that we were taking large scale implementation projects for enterprises and government. What we see that all typical development cycles were 9 months to 12 months, because you are building enterprise solutions, right? And you put in so much effort of capturing requirements, getting your sign off on the SRSs, doing a good design, development. But still, at the end of the day, when you go and deliver your product at the end of 9 months, you never see the delight from the customer. And there are two very simple reasons what we found out, right? One is that things are changing so fast, so rapidly these days, that what you want today cannot be the same after 9 days and 9 months, right? So obviously the requirements has changed, and we know the CR vicious cycle in IT services, right? How much time it costs, and in terms of the cost to the customer, right? Or sometimes we know that the way requirements are handled, right? So assigning an SRS, then translating those requirements from BA to a designer, designer to a developer to a tester. So it is very natural that requirements get lost along the way, right? So we were like, we are putting our best effort as an IT services company, but still, okay, customers have signed off SRS, we have delivered, we are getting our payments, but we are not able to create the delight that we would want from our effort. So there has to be a better solution for these customers to build solutions, right? So that is where no code, low code we started exploring, and today it is a big thing and it is trending now. So basically, just to understand no code, low code, no code is where business users without technical skills, who are not non-professional developers, they can build applications, small simple applications themselves without writing any code, right? They can automate their worksheets. They can, if they have some form that they are making the customers fill, or there's a back office form they want to digitize, they can basically use drag and drop and do with no code. So like Airtable, and there are a lot of examples of those tools. Then there is low code, which is kind of an advanced version of your IDs that you use today, right? So basically, still for while business users can then use them to some extent, but they're still targeted toward professional developers and help them accelerate their software development to a large speed, right? Up to like 5 to 10 times we can claim, right? So when we went into that space, we realized that, okay, this is the spectrum, no code to low code. Then how do we differentiate ourselves? Because even though for industry, maybe it is still emerging technology, no code, low code, but the space, there are quite a few players now. So what the space we thought we should target is where we have built a very comprehensive no code, low code platform, which is primarily no code platform. So we want to enable business users to build complex business application. So right now with other platforms, they're able to build very simple applications, but if they want to build anything complex, they still have to go to the IT developers. So our platform is giving them the rich feature set and the simplicity of use, where they themselves can build far more complex applications than they can build with any of our competing platform. So it's somewhere in between no code, low code we fall, where in our platform, 95% of things you can do with no code, and only 5% you run into. One criticism for no code platform is that you get blocked down by the whatever feature set they are providing. You might run into a corner case where you want to do something you're not able to do. So for for us it is last 2-3%. If you run into a lot of times, like in all our departments, as we are fortunate, when you build a platform like this, you yourself can use it, right? So within Quixy there is no other IT system that we use except a CRM HubSpot that we use. All our processes, each department has automated on our platform, and these application, whether it is HRMS, whether it is IT support, they all go across departments, and we have been able to build all these applications seamlessly without writing any code and without doing any customization or using low code. So that is our exclusivity, where you can build on our platform, you can build far more complex business application, enterprise grade, without writing any code.
So you developed an exclusivity of low code, no code, so that your client can build far more complex applications compared to earlier. But yes, I think that exclusivity is that very much important, and I think customer experience, customer delight is again very important. So Naveen, again, our question is next question is extension of this current conversation, that currently client is the key focus, but when there's so much constraints in the SaaS business, design, great product, pricing. So what are the primary tactics for scaling a SaaS business? If we talk about from the perspective of design, product development, pricing, and so on. So how can a SaaS business scale? Because a lot of SaaS startups, and they need to understand from experts that how they can scale it, keeping in mind designing product and other issues that exist.
Sounds good. Sure, Ashish. I'll actually leave the technical aspects of scaling to Prafulla. Probably he's better equipped to answer that on a cloud and all of that. He's already touched upon that a little bit. I'll talk a little bit more about the business aspects of it, and scaling the business so much, right? I'd say at different stages of the product life cycle, the platforms need to take different approaches to scale. Right. So first of all, if you think about them, many SaaS platforms, they typically begin their life cycle as point solutions, right? Specifying a specific problem. We've talked about that already. They generally they may start solving a specific problem for a mid-enterprise or even a larger enterprise, right? One way to scale is to expand the user base. Right, not just in getting new customers, but even trying to expand the user base within the existing customers, right? Because they're solving one point problem, they're addressing one functional role. Now, when they look at some adjacent problems, then they can bring other users into the fold, right? So adjacent problem areas, other user journeys, customizing or personalizing for additional functional roles. So what this will allow them to do is to attract other users in the same customer base that they already have onto the platform. So depending on the pricing model and all of that, that could be one way of scaling up the application, right? This could also mean that the product is scaling from being just a point solution to becoming a platform that the organization relies on. This is one of my favorite things, right? A lot of people, the tools can easily be replaced, because when the customer finds another one that is slightly better in price or slightly better in functionality, they'll go for that. But a platform is very difficult to replace because it has kind of gone into the overall organization. So that is one scaling that I feel the SaaS platform should not ignore, is to scale up from being a tool or an application to becoming a platform within the company. Another one is, if you're primarily built for mid-size enterprises, it could try to scale up to address enterprise problems. Right? This might predominantly mean, you got to go with a number of integrations with enterprise platforms, provide customization APIs, enterprise level support, So because the journey from mid-size to enterprise is not as simple. It's not that, you were serving 50 users before, now you have to serve 500 users. It actually comes with a lot of other things that you have to do to make it enterprise ready and enterprise scale. Right? So if you are primarily focused on one vertical, you could look at going into an adjacent vertical. The moment you look at another problem area, a lot of things need to change in the product, right? So however, if the core problem that you're trying to solve is somewhat similar and all of that, you can do so. I mean, everything comes with a cost, but probably with some additional incremental cost, you can attack an adjacent vertical area and so on. And if it is primarily focused on one geography, then it could go into attempt to go into other geographies, right? India to global is a path that most of our SaaS founders in India are looking to take. That's one of the favorite paths that they want, that they have to take. And for growth, it is a must, because all said and done, I think we still, I mean, India has a lot of potential, but still, it's still a potential at this stage. So right now, they need, if they need to scale, they need to go from India to other geos. And every one of these different scalings, right, they impact almost every factor that you mentioned. Whether it is design, because you're attacking new problems, you have to think differently, and then you have to design differently. Whether talking about product in terms of features and functionality, the moment you are doing any of these scalings that you mentioned, you have to rethink the products and functionality. Packaging, channels, pricing, everything has to change in all of these scaling steps. But these are some of the typical scaling steps that SaaS platforms could look at.
Yeah.
Interesting points, Naveen. I think definitely 4-5 points. Even I noted down, because that are very good. User within the users to expanding to additional functions, point to platform approach. That is interesting. Adjacent verticals, geographical expansion, and the last, which I like the most, change. Be adaptive to change and change your strategy and way forward as you grow. So, Prafulla, what are the essential elements of a SaaS product? What do you think? And does a vertical approach like fintech, health tech, or horizontal approach, ERP, CRM, focus strategy help a startup to scale?
Yeah, I'll first go with the essential elements of the SaaS product. You need to have a multi-tenancy model. By that, what we mean is we should be able to add a new B2B customer very easily, and that provisioning should be automated. Then you should have federated authentication mechanism wherein, let's say one of your customers is using Azure AD, another is using Okta or one login. So you should be able to adopt all of these. Then you should have a subscription-based billing. So if one customer is using N number of your resources, you should be very explicit and say that this is what you're using and this is how I'm charging you. Thirdly, you should be highly available. You cannot say that I'm available only in the north part of India or in the south part of India. You should be highly available. You should not, your breakdown time should be very less. You should have elastic infrastructure, as Naveen was talking about. Why is it important to be scalable? You may have one customer who is having very less amount of records, but or very less amount of data, but then there could be another customer who is really a huge customer and has petabytes of data. So accordingly, your infrastructure has to be scalable and separated for each of your tenant. Then your data security is essential. You cannot have one database for all the customers. You need to separate it out, because nowadays with HIPAA compliance and your personal info PII compliances, it becomes very important that companies are very super conscious about that data being very separated out. Then your application securities are very important. Again, and as a SaaS application, you should be able to do rate limiting. You should be able to say that my APIs can be used only with this customer. I can use only 200 APIs in a day. So that kind of rate limiting is also essential. Then essential part nowadays, which is coming up, is applications like ServiceNow. What they want is they want a separate customized implementation for one customer. So that is becoming very challenging, and there are ways to perform that. There are ways to handle it, and that's one of the area which is booming up right now. So custom implementation you should be able to do for a particular tenant. So that is also essential element of a SaaS product. Now, to come to your question of does verticals like fintech, health tech, or horizontal, what should be the focus? So if you see, essentially you need SMEs to find out the industry specific problems. This is when you come to the verticals. And as on date, then you need horizontal and technical expert to solve the problems with the best and the quick ways to help the tailored solutions to the customers and thus give quicker business. So if you are a startup, I would say you'll need both. You'll need an industry specific SME who can say that, okay, in my, let's say in my healthcare industry, I see a problem where all my whenever the customer or whenever the patient is getting a discharge, it takes a huge time. So you identify a problem and then you have a technical expert to solve it. And that's where you make a complete solution and sell it into the market very quickly. So I would say as a startup, you should be focusing on both. But you cannot go into all horizontal, all technologies. You can select with the SME and you can do a mix and match as to what kind of technology will match and then get a horizontal specific experts. So, but for companies which are services based, yes, horizontals does make a sense. Then if you have horizontals, you can serve products or you can serve solutions for different customers in different directions. But if you're a startup, I would say you'll require both of them.
Thanks, Prafulla. I think very interesting point you touched, and that's a very debatable topic also, because verticalization is very much happening in the SaaS ecosystem, and people are always confused that yes, go for the vertical focus SaaS startup. And we have many big startups in the vertical space, and horizontal also we have big players. But yes, there's always a big debate happening which one to go for, and I think you have rightly said that if you're a startup, then go for both the business models. So since we have a scaling startup with us, so Vivek, for our budding startups, how can they increase their sales, marketing, and R&D efficiency for a high valuation? I want to hear your inputs. So valuation is a big concern in this current ecosystem, and always people question about it. So how they can increase their sales marketing?
Correct. I think it's very important, like when you are actually just starting your business, a startup, the first thing I would say is like look at your product market fit, right? That is where it starts. A lot of time we founders are very obsessed with our idea or product, right? Sometimes it turns out the problem doesn't exist or it is too futuristic, right? So we have to first validate that the need actually exists, right? Even for like let me go by my experience, right? We have a platform which I'm saying that I can sell it to any business user, right? So literally it becomes very difficult. Who should I target, right? So because for me to be efficient as a marketing guy, for sales to be efficient, we cannot go and tell the same general story to everybody, right? They have to feel when I'm talking to a prospect, he has to feel that he understands my pain points, right? Then only he'll be able to connect and talk to me or even listen to me further. So for us, it is like understand your customer, your prospects, where is the need, what are the pain points, which industry can use this platform more than the other. Is there a certain size of organization that will adopt these no-code, low-code platforms before the others, right? Who are the decision makers? We see that in smaller organization, IT people still come into picture, right? But when you go to large organizations, large enterprises, business heads are able to take a call and subscribe to our platforms. So understanding who your actual customers are, which might change based on the size of the organization, the vertical you're talking, which vertical you want to focus on, right? And right now we are servicing 15 industries, right? And they're building all wide variety of use cases, but it is working for now because we are doing everything inbound, right? We are generating content, leads are coming to us. But if I have to now go to take the next step and do an outbound, I have to start somewhere, right? I cannot have a very general catch-all approach. So we are figuring out what are the biggest verticals, which are the geography, which are the roles that we have to target. So that becomes very important to streamline our sales marketing thing. And as one very interesting point that Naveen said, which I liked, is like keep listening, right? When you're meeting your customers, as a tool, it is very easy to replace you. But when you become a platform, create the stickiness, it becomes hard for the customer. So listen to see what they are doing with your platform and what is the feedback. And we actively do that. So when we deployed our platform, we figured out that they are able to replace a lot of the paperwork that they have and bring efficiency to their organization. But then what about the paper that is coming into the organization? They have invoices, they have purchase orders. They are saying we still have to manually process them, but you don't have a solution for us. So give us a solution. So that is where we said, okay, so we should have some additional things. So now we have built another product called Hamta, which is a IDP, Intelligent Document Processing, where you can just upload an image of your invoice or a purchase order. And those are just two examples that we are starting with, but you can potentially train, and we are going to again create some models which businesses can start from. They don't have to create their own models, so they can start processing them from day one, right? So that is now when we deploy that will give them end-to-end automation, and that is what they need, right? They want. So we have figured out this edge case, edge user who still has to do his manual processes, and now then once you have now two tools, or your one platform and another platform being used in an organization, and your number of use cases are increasing, your number of stakeholders, the number of users in that organization is increasing. So that is where you see more adoption, right? Which will again increase your users, and you know how all your users will impact your evaluation. Right. Second is like there's a lot of automation. We have to automate our marketing activities, sales activities. You can, when you're doing inbound, when somebody is downloading an ebook, you cannot go and manually engage, right? So you have to have automation where you can give them the next, whatever you think the next best valuable resource, maybe another ebook, maybe a case study, right? So and so you have to move people down the funnel, from top of the funnel to middle, bottom of the funnel automatically. So we use HubSpot. There are other tools. So but you have to put value there. HubSpot is giving you automation, but you have to see what for each resource that they are downloading, what is the next resource in line, right? So move them down the funnel. Automation is required. Use intent signals, right? So now there are a lot of products out there where you know that somebody in this organization, you cannot pinpoint to a person, but you can know that somebody in an organization is looking at no code, low code category, right? So that way you can start targeting those business users in that organization. You will also know that existing customer of yours is also looking at that category, and so you have a signal to tell to your customer success team that just check, are you doing everything right, or is there a problem in the account, because there is somebody from the organization looking at that category right now and looking at your competitor. So you have to adopt technology. Now AI is coming in, right? So there's so much focus with ChatGPT, generative AI. So you have to stay on top of your game with marketing, sales, make it as easy as possible. Use deep tech. Sales use case, if I see, right, when you're writing emails are emails, but when you send video messages, right, hey, I'm Vivek and this is what I have for you to offer, this is what I understand about your organization. So when you send a video message, it has a different impact. And now there are deep tech solutions of where you don't have to record each video yourself. If you have your standard scripts, the platforms are giving you your videos that you can share. So there are a lot of things that you can do. Create a strong brand story, right? People buy from people, basically. So you have, what story do you have for you to tell? What are your values? Because lot of large organizations want to work business with people that they agree on values. So even if you have two competitors who are giving the same thing, they would want to know what is your commitment, what are your values, what will drive your product roadmap. So all those things become very, very important, and a very, I would say, for a SaaS platform, a very good onboarding experience, right? So we are getting every day 100 leads, 200 trial accounts. How many are you able to convert? Are you able to create that wow movement for them, right? In day one or day two? Those are the people will stick with you, right? So the number of trial accounts you are creating seamlessly. So right now, to create a trial account, you don't have to. Within 1 minute, you will have a trial account on Quixy. But we are still working on how to improve our onboarding experience, so that they are able to build that first app in like 15 minutes or 20 minutes. If you are able to do that, there is no way the user will not have that wow and will not stick. So if you can create those, your number of free trials will increase, your number of the free trial to paid conversion will increase, and obviously your evaluation will it will all show in your evaluation. So those are some of the things that come to mind. Obviously, we have limited time to discuss. We can discuss this for a longer time. But yeah, so that is what some of the tips I would want to share.
No, absolutely. I think your points that understanding customer is almost obviously the main thing that a startup should focus on. And again, the automation. And the last, the most important, you have to be technically advanced and keep on automating your all divisions. So with this, we come to the end of episode 1 of our discussion about Indian SaaS, transformative, adaptive, innovative, and future focus. Our conversation with Prafulla, Naveen, and Vivek will continue. So stay tuned for the part 2 of the discussion, where we will talk about the right product market fit code while dealing with Indian and global markets, and how the future of SaaS looks like in the coming few years. So please stay tuned. Thank you.